14 we actually worked solid on it. Starting Christmas 2017. It was coming up to the 50th anniversary of Big Bear and a significant birthday for Jim. So everybody was saying, you must write a book about it all. And eventually said, yeah, we must write a book about it all. And it took all 2017 and a bit of last year as well.
And having worked with Jim on various different projects, my guess is that the reason it took so long was trying to pin him down.
This was one of the factors, yes. He didn't have a habit of writing the same story 4 times. And I would say, which one do you want me to use? Oh, it's pick the best. So I ended up taking bits from one, bits from another. But I must say, I put this in the preface, nearly all the words in the book are Jim's. There's odd bits of historical background that I wrote, but it's very much, I hope, as he would say it or write it.
I can say it is actually the words I use, but not necessarily in the order I wrote them.
So I think, I have to confess I haven't read the book because it only arrived in Big Bear fashion on Thursday. But having had a good old flick through it, the first thing that comes to mind as a question for somebody like you, and indeed anybody like you, is why? Why the hell does anybody try to make money out of the music business? What possessed you, Jim?
Well, apparently it's easy to make money out of music business. It's easy to become a millionaire. All you have to do is start off as a billionaire. I sort of drifted into the music business really without intending to. In my generation, the idea of making a living from music was even more far-fetched than it is today. Eventually I got into a band, and then we got to the recording studio, and that was the moment that I started to feel the magic of the music business. Because as far as I'm concerned, the recording studio is the best place in the world to be.
And I think your first, I was very struck by your first experiences of music. I guess it was the same for you, Ron. Country and Western, your mother was a big country and Western fan, is that right?
No, there were female relatives around us, aunts and such like, and they did tend to, before my time actually, because as you can tell, Jim's a great deal older than me.
Yeah.
But they did tend to push some country and Western at him. But I wouldn't say my mother was a great fan of it, no. But he's still a great fan of Montana Slim.
I used to wake up middle of the nightmare about Montana Slims when the white azaleas start blooming. Oh.
So, but you woke up to jazz and blues at a concert, remind me, which venue was it? Birmingham, central Birmingham?
My first blues concert my mother took me to when I was 14 was a Big Bill Brunsey at Birmingham Town Hall. Supported by a band led by Mick Mulligan and featuring a young ex-student from Liverpool called George Melly. So I was very impressed he wore a tracksuit on stage, because in those days everyone wore suits and ties and things. So but Big Bill Brunsey was my entree. What was your first gig?
I don't know, I think the early one, of course, was the Walford Road thing, which was a bit special. Tell them about Walford Road. And Peg Leg Bates.
Okay, my father, and by coincidence, his father too, took us to see Louis Armstrong in 1956, I think, 56, at the Walford Road Embassy Sportsdrome, which was a roller skating rink, and it was round, and the stage was revolving. So Louis would come past you at about 1 mile an hour, and you wait till he came round again. But the Evening Mail got a photograph of Louis coming down the aisle, and by coincidence I was exactly by it. And to my shame, you could tell I'm a failed trumpet player. I wasn't looking at Louis, I was checking out his mouthpiece.
One of the great treats of the book is the only known photograph of me with Louis Armstrong. Or Louis Armstrong with me.
Well, Ron was there, and I was there, and so was the butcher's daughter. The butcher's daughter is no longer there, sadly.
So the trumpet was your instrument. You bought a second-hand trumpet, and did you ever have lessons, or did you just teach yourself?
Oh, that's a good point. I taught myself, I played along really badly to Louis Armstrong records. And then I went into the Royal Air Force and first to Gibraltar. The squadron leader heard me practicing and called me in and said, "Do you play trumpet?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you like to lead the station dance band?" No mention of quality or anything. I said, "Well, what does that entail?" He says, "Well, we've got an audio room to rehearse in, we've got a room full of instruments, and you get to do the gigs at the officers' mess and the sergeant's mess." And he said, "You get paid." That sounded pretty good to me. So I formed the station dance band, but they weren't really a dance band, they were just a bunch of itinerant jazzers. And at that point, I recruited some people from the Seaforth Highlanders, who were the garrison at Gibraltar at the time, and they had all been to Nella Hall School of Music, and they were terrified. One particular was a guy called Johnny Morris. Now, I had this music stand by my bed in the barracks, and my trumpet was on the bed, and Johnny came down to see me. He said, "Oh, that's a nice little horn. What's this?" "What's this?" On the music stand was a book, 125 Hot Licks for Trumpet by Louis Armstrong. Now, I'd struggled over the months to page 2.5, and he said, "Oh, this is nice." And he sailed through the whole lot, top to bottom. And I thought, I've got to learn to read music. That was the moment.
So, Ron, did the music bug bite you? Were you equally interested, or?
Well, not equally. Nobody's equally interested in music as Jim.
Nobody's that mad.
I was always very interested in music, yeah, but in a passive sort of way. I went on some of the more sober adventures of Jim music-wise, attending wonderful Ideal Homes exhibition just over the road there, just to hear Sid Phillips's band, that sort of thing. But I never got involved in the way that Jim did, not at all now.
So, before we get deep into Big Bear and the Birmingham music scene, I've got a couple of quick burning questions. You were in air traffic control in Gibraltar in the RAF.
Incredibly, yes.
So what kind of cover-up has there been that we're not aware of more disasters there, apart from the T-33 landings that you managed to avoid taking responsibility for?
Well, yes, there was that. The worst thing that happened, luckily, was while I was not on duty. The main road from Gibraltar to Spain crossed the middle of the runway, and we had to close the road, barrier at either end, to every movement. Oh, I am.
You don't want to tell that.
No.
How would you do it?
It's hardcore violence, we can't go there.
One of these hooligan cowboys who flew for the USAF, flew in from the USS Forrestal. He lost his radio, and instead of circling the rock, flapping his wings, which is the indication your radio doesn't work, he landed. And he actually decapitated a Spanish worker who was on his way back home to La Linea, and his head rolled into station flight. And the story is that one of the engineers, they went to pick it up.
Thinking it was something. Anyway, moving swiftly on to a slightly lighter-hearted exploration. After coming out of the RAF, you donned the uniform of the Butlins Red Coat, or it was a stripy coat from the pictures in the book. And this was, and your first job was to wrangle the donkeys on Skegness Promenade.
Which I did rather well, until I got sacked.
Now, what I wanted to ask you was, are donkeys easier to work with than musicians?
Donkeys are much easier to work with than anybody I ever met, unless they're confronted by several ladies who are deep in conversation, who walk into a zebra crossing in front of them where they're galloping down the main road, and they expect the donkeys to understand what a zebra crossing is. And they scattered these ladies, and I got the sack.
They'd have stopped at a donkey crossing, of course. Thanks for that. So, we'll skip forward back to Locomotive, the band that you joined in Birmingham in the mid-60s. I know it wasn't Locomotive originally. But this is where the seeds of Big Bear are sown, isn't it?
Yes, it is, absolutely. When we got to record, well, first time I went to record, we had a great band with guys like Mike Burney and Roger Hill and Graham Gallery. Tremendous band, really. All of them sort of slipped into legend now. And we met outside our local recording studio at 9 o'clock to arrive at Philips Recording Studios in London at 2 o'clock. And at 10 past 12, they hadn't all arrived. And then the last one arrived, Graham Gallery, I said, Graham, you're late. Why are you late? He said, well, the pub's don't open till 12. We can't drive all the way to London without a case of beer. So we got to Phillips, they turned us away, and we spent the afternoon driving around Hyde Park, playing music badly out of the bus.
So, during that time, bands began to emerge in Birmingham like the Spencer Davis Group, The Move, the Moody Blues. A number of great bands came out of this part of the world, and obviously Robert Plant and John Bonham were hanging around in their various local bands. Ron, what is it about Birmingham that produced such a sustained flow of great songwriters in particular, I think, and great performers? What is it about this city that does that?
That is very difficult. It's hard to define, but it's true. I mean, it's true, as you just sort of acknowledged, Stuart, that Birmingham is the rock and roll capital of the UK. And I always say it's because of our great audiences, but it's more than that. Musicians in this city tend to be more concentrated on their ability to play music than in poncy places like Liverpool. I mean, the Beatles and the Atomic Kitten, come on. I mean, what a legacy. We also have benefited, when I was starting to play, by having 6 or 7 palais de danse. Do you like that French?
Palais de danse?
Yeah. Dance halls. And each of these bands had like a 16-piece band and maybe a 6 or 7-piece support band, and these guys came from all over the country. I was lucky enough to have as a trumpet teacher, so I was taking lessons by then, a guy called Dougie Roberts, who'd been lead trumpet with John Dankworth, featured the John Dankworth 7, played with Lou Stone, played in the Ted Heath band, got sacked from all of them for drinking, to finish up at Birmingham, and I got him to give me trumpet lessons. I could never normally have expected a man of that quality. And it was the same, we all rubbed shoulders with the best players in the country. And that sort of sets a stamp of quality, gives musicians something to aim for. When you play alongside guys who are 15 times better than you'll ever be, that gives you a target.
Yeah, so I find that myself, actually. So, Ron, were you around the scene at this time? Were you part of this? Or?
No, I'm afraid I wasn't, because...
Where did you go?
I fled to Yorkshire at quite an early age.
You fled to Oxford University first.
Oh, fair enough.
But I've been in Yorkshire for the past, I don't know, not quite 50 years, so I've just come down here with increasing frequency to write the odd book and help on the occasional festival.
Yes. So, the next big thing that happened, if we leap forward a bit more if I can, was of course the discovery of a little band called Earth, who played at your famous legendary blues club, Henry's, and were members there. Tell us a little bit about what happened to Earth.
They asked if they could play intermission at Henry's. The Henry's Blues House was a regular Tuesday blues club called, we used to say the Tuesdays is Blues Days. It's reopened in March of this year, and the very fine band you're here tonight, Shuffle Pack, are regular visitors. It's round the corner at the pub called the Bull's Head every Tuesday, and it's free. That's the plug. Anyway, we opened it. If the blues boom was sort of dying, and we were to employ the better blues bands, we brought in Americans like Arthur Big Boy Crudup, J.B. Hutto, Lightning Slim, Champion Jack Dupree, and also we featured British bands like Status Quo in a room that held 160 people. Amazing. And I've forgotten his name, the guy who went to Fiddler's Him. He's from Birmingham, filled in it, yeah. And this band called Earth said, can they play intermission? And they were really good. So I booked them again, and they got better and better, and they headlined, and they said, well, I'll manage them. I said, sure. I said, we've got to change the name. Earth is horrible. Well, they all love the name Earth. So I scoured the pages of the Melody Maker, and I found not one, but 2 London-based bands called Earth. So that's my leverage. So I got to change their name, and they changed it to Black Sabbath. And thereby begins the story of the most influential rock band in the history of music. A band that not only influenced people in their heavy metal style, but the amount of sub-metal styles around now, must be 30 or 40 of them, from death metal onwards, all pay lip service to Black Sabbath.
Yes, they do. It's the most important thing that happened in rock and roll, as far as I'm concerned, apart from Chuck Berry. So, this brings me to a more thorny subject, which is the music business has its fair share of dodgy geezers, don't you think? What is it about music in particular, given that it's impossible to make money out of music except by, well, I suppose that's because you can only make it by dodgy ways. What is it about the music business that draws all kinds of shady characters and dodgy characters and downright violent characters to get involved? What are they looking for?
I think it's a shortcut to a lot of money. If you can steal a band, and the legendary story, I know you know, Stuart, it's Don Arden negotiating the Small Faces contract with Andrew Luke Oldham, while Andrew Luke Oldham was held by his ankles outside a fifth floor window. Which apparently was quite persuasive.
Yes, it would persuade me, I think. Yeah. So you've been burnt a few times here and there, but you've had some gold as well. Talk to us about Marbella and the international festival out there, and then the Big Bear tours. I mean, it's been a ball, hasn't it?
Yeah, so far. Big Bear tours were great. When I lost Sabbath, I lost them the week we had one album, and it was 47 years. They had another number one album. The same week, the Black Sabbath album, called Black Sabbath, was back on the chart, number 17. The Paranoid single was number 2 on the chart. That was the week I lost them. And I worked it out. There's no point in doing that again, just to build up a band that some smart London company could take from me. So I went back to my first love, which was the blues. And I tried to locate some of these obscure, sort of lost black American blues stars. And I was looking around trying to find some leverage there, and a guy called Ralph Mace from Paramount, a Gulf and Western company, I remember, he said, we'll give you 100 albums, and we'll pay your posters, we'll pay your leaflets, if you'll do a tour with a Canadian blues harmonica player called the King Biscuit Boy. And that's the first blues tour I ever did. Before, immediately with Eddie Guitar Burns, Lightning Slim, hosted James Snooky Pryor, Washboard Willie Snooky Pryor. I could go on, probably will. Yes. But those are the most exciting. These guys were working in factories or in construction or something manual in America. They came to Britain and they were playing in concert halls. It was a bit tough on them to sort of have that transition. But when we found Lightning Slim, he didn't even have a guitar. We bought a guitar for him, put him over here on a 7-week tour. He was 72 years old, and he never ever went back to his job in the factory, in a furnace, by the way, in Pontiac, Michigan. He stayed professional musician for the rest of his life.
And you said that the recording studio is your favourite place to be. What is it that makes the Big Bear sound? How do you go about recording an artist and getting the sound that you want? What is it that characterises it?
Can I tell you a very short story which sort of illustrates my attitude? We recorded a trumpet player called Bruce Adams. You must know about him. The first time I recorded him down at Jimmy Norton Studios, there was a young engineer there who later I got to work with a lot, became very good. Very bright technically, but the trumpet player, Bruce, warmed up in front of the microphone, his fast runs all over the trumpet, great. The engineer said, he's great, what a sound, what a trumpet player, isn't he wonderful? We got down to record, he said, now, what sort of sound would you like? I said, actually, the way it sounds, if that's okay with you. And that's my theory. Do all your work before you get in the studio. When you get in the studio, relax and have fun, but do all the work beforehand. Don't try and create things, capture musicians, comfortable with what they're playing and enjoying doing it. Never go in and just record a bass or a drum kit. Go in and cut it live. I believe musicians have to see each other, look at each other in the eye while they're playing. Who else is going to know when to come in, when not to come in? Musicians you know this. Musicians have this unspoken language. The flick of the eye and the movement of it tells you when to come in, or when to cut down, or when you're going to finish. I love that.
So you don't see the recording. Some people say the recording studio is another instrument. It's simply a device for capturing the sound.
Absolutely. When we first made the first Black Sabbath album, we were forced. I had to borrow money to do it, and we were forced to use an engineer I'd never heard of. Sorry, a producer I'd never heard of, called Roger Bain. And we went down, and Roger was a very nice guy, and we ran a few songs, and He said, okay, let's go. And on the way back in the bus, Tony Iommi said to me, he did nothing. He just sat there and did nothing at all. And we all started complaining about Roger Bain and how useless we did all ourselves. It took me a couple of years to realise that a producer who's smart enough to know that it's right and not to mess with it is a pure genius in himself. And Roger Bain was great. He knew the band had got it, he could see it, and all he did was press record, which was absolutely perfect. So yeah.
So here we are at the, which number Birmingham International Jazz and Blues Festival is this?
It seems like 50, but just 35.
35 festivals in this great city. I reflect, we played Solihull at lunchtime in Mel Square, and it was packed, and it occurred to me that Birmingham must be one of the few places in the world where you can put on a festival like this, and people will turn out and get involved. Certainly one of the few places in the UK. So I guess it comes back to the same question. Do you find that Birmingham has been a great engine of great music in terms of the promotions that you've run, the festival? Why does the festival work so well?
I think because we book great bands. Whatever you talk about, the festival, it's got to be the music. No pretensions, nothing poncy, nothing new, nothing avant-garde, just great music properly played. Simple. And audiences, whether they know they like jazz or not, sort of understand when music's good. We all do that. If music's bad or obscure or boring or tedious or it drags, we don't like it. As human beings, we like to be entertained, we like nice noises. There's no better noise than music.
And so Ron, why did he call upon you to write this book? Is this your background? Are you?
Yeah. He didn't call me to write it, he called me to help him write it. But yeah, I've written a few books in my time, but not of any great interest, being basically on English grammar and study guides and that sort of thing. But yeah, my background is in literature writing and that sort of thing. And I've read and do an awful lot of reviews for websites of plays and things, so the one thing I do well is words.
So were you a teacher or what?
Yeah. For many years, English teacher, many years. Yeah. I think many years retired, 24 years retired.
So it was a labour of kind of fascination and brotherly concern, was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had so many people who said, you really ought to write them. We thought, well, yeah, we've got to. I mean, to get Jim sounding right, he's got to have freedom to pursue one thing after, and that is going to make for a bit of a messy book. So it was quite unfair with all the other things here as well, to expect him to produce an ordered book as well as a fascinating one. So he did the fascinating things, so I did some of the ordering.
Well, every great writer needs a great editor, that's for sure. So, I think the last thing to discuss, of course, the other big love of your life, which again you encountered for the first time, I think, in Skegness. I think many people may have found love in Skegness for the first time, but in Jim's case, it was the love of a camera. And one of the great things about this book is the incredible array of photographs, all of them taken by Jim. There's Sabbath when they were about 5 years old. There's a ray of colour as well. There's a shot which I'll never be able to find randomly of Nina Simone, which is perhaps one of the most evocative pictures of a sultry soul singer you'll ever find. She looks furious, and it's a fabulous shot of her. So, it would feel like a sideline, but it's not, is it? Photography is a great passion of yours.
Yeah, in fact, my grandfather was a photographer, and he used to process his films himself, and he used to use the light of the sun. He put his negatives and sensitive paper out in the backyard.
Wow.
And I still got a 1912 James Lancaster 10x8 play camera. That means the negative side is that.
Wow.
So, my son also inherited my fascination with photography, only he does it much better than me, and he's the photographer who does all the stuff for the festival. But I must tell you, the peak of my career was in Skegness. I assembled a band of musicians from the photographic department of Alfie Raitt, and we entered the Skegness Carnival, and we won 7th prize in the miscellaneous category, behind a woman who grew some very beautiful chrysanthemums.
Did she put them in trumpets, Jim? Is that right?
I didn't ever get to know her. She was a bit posher than us.
Okay, well, I think that kind of covers some of the story of Big Bear music. You've got a flavour of what Jim's about. You've got a flavour of what the book's about. Ron has done a fantastic job of making sense of the kind of late night ramblings of a broken man, I have to say, who has persistently thrown himself on the spikes of the rock and roll business and somehow come up smelling of lack of money and somebody, a very wise man, a friend of John Mackay's, once said to me, the music business is not about music, it's about cars, vans, strings and bits of gaffer tape. And that kind of defines your life, Jim, does it not?
Absolutely, yeah.
In fact, I've missed one great story that I don't know if it's in the book, but actually was not Big Bear formed because of a van, basically?
John Peel?
Well, no, not that van. The first tour,
The blues tour.
you had to use a van.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's forgotten the story. Jim Simpson's, moment of history, ladies and gentlemen. Jim
Oh, the
Simpson,
Splitter Van.
because of the van.
Rob Catlin, who worked for me in the agency, went out for some crazy reason, bought the most violently, horribly puce green Mercedes Splitter Van, in the hope that people would book him to transport bands around. They didn't. And I sort of looked at this van and counted the seats, and figured we could fit a rhythm section, a driver, and 6 American bluesmen in it. And that's why we did the first blues tour, because we had the transport.
I think we better rest our case there. That's what rock and roll's all about. Some of the best music in the world has come out of Birmingham. The greatest bands in the world, many of them are American, many of them are heavy rock bands. None of them would exist without Black Sabbath. And Black Sabbath owe an awful lot to Jim Simpson. But the rest of us who play blues, not for a living because it's almost impossible, owe so much to Jim Simpson for keeping the music alive around the world. And we owe a lot to Ron as well now for capturing his story as well. So please, give a great Birmingham thank you to a man who's made this city one of the great cities of the world. Mr. Jim Simpson, ladies and gentlemen!